Hi, my name is Andy Savish, and I'd like to introduce myself. Many of you might know me from some of the books and articles I've written over the last 35 years. I've been metal detecting since 1964, and during that time, I've been a field tester for most of the manufacturers, including several that are no longer in business. I've done training, factory authorized training for most of the manufacturers as well. What I wanted to do this afternoon on this video is try to clear the air with some of the issues that have come up on social media recently and explain why certain features or certain functions may be important to the type of metal detecting or treasure hunting you do or may not. So to give you an idea, let me go back in time to 1964. So believe it or not, this is actually the first metal detector that I got as a Christmas present in 1964. Single knob, one 9-volt battery, a beat frequency oscillator, and you'd think that this would be a toy or simply a wall hanging, and that's really what it is now. It's a wall hanging in my office. But with this detector, my brother and me scoured the local neighborhood, the beaches, the schools, and we probably amassed, several hundred coins over a 2-year period using this cheap detector. Now, fast forward a few years, and we were able to upgrade to a Garrett. This is a basic Garrett transmit receiver or BFO detector. And with this, we tripled or quadrupled what we were bringing home. So even though we had a machine that today would be something that wouldn't even be worth putting batteries in, we were still able to learn the machine and put it to use in our local area and find treasure. Now the point I want to make here is that everybody that's got a metal detector doesn't have the same desire to search for lost relics or old mine artifacts or electronic prospecting or beach hunting or ocean hunting or diving, or the list is endless. The issue that seems to have brought this firestorm recently to the internet and social media deals with iron bias. Now, a couple things with iron bias. First of all, iron bias only applies to a multi-frequency machine. Now, there's other functions that single frequency machines can use, but iron bias, what the intent of that is to eliminate the masking of iron next to a non-ferrous or a coin or a valuable target. The problem with that is if you reduce it too far, iron comes through as a good target. And if you increase it too far, good targets are lost next to iron. Now, where does this come into play? If the sites you're searching, for example, a local schoolyard or a park or a private yard or even the beach, doesn't contain numerous ferrous targets, iron bias is meaningless because it doesn't affect how your machine will respond to non-ferrous targets such as aluminum, tinfoil, pull tabs, screw caps. It's strictly ferrous and non-ferrous differentiation. So if you're the type of hunter that is not searching sites that are littered with iron, then iron bias almost becomes moot. The other thing that's critical is there's a number of people that enjoy going out for an hour or two after work to the local park, digging a few coins, taking their kids to the tot lots, spending time with their family, digging coins 3, 4, 5 inches deep, and they enjoy that. Or taking it with them when they go to a campground, and they enjoy that type of hunting. Or taking it to the beach 2 or 3 times a year, and they enjoy that type of hunting. So do you need a machine that is the ultimate in terms of being able to hunt or differentiate between a good target, a bad target, and high iron? It depends on the type of hunting you do. My wife and I, we search for everything. We've been out gold prospecting, beach hunting, we've been to Europe, we've been to Scotland, we've been to England. We do Civil War relic hunting. We go to areas that are littered with iron. But we also enjoy going to the local park or schoolyard and digging coins and the occasional ring. So as a result, there is no one machine that we found in our arsenal that does it all. What my wife uses for her primary machine would not be the machine I use for my primary machine. But we share the detectors. And for example, when we go to Europe, we use a certain brand of machine, and that's not the machine that she would use normally here. But her style of hunting is different than mine. So what I urge everybody to do is take a deep breath, step back from the fray that seems to be swirling across the internet, and realize that two things. First of all, every machine is not created equal, but it doesn't have to be created equal, because what you're going to find is your needs are going to be different than my needs or my neighbor's needs or my buddy's needs. Price drives a decision, ergonomics, and performance, but also how you're going to use it and where you're going to use it. If you're not going to go in the water, is waterproof, is water resistancy really an issue? Do you need to have a machine waterproof to 100 feet, or is 10 feet good enough if you're going to snorkel or wade in shallow water? If you're looking for artifacts in high iron concentrations where a house may have burned down, or a campsite may have been, or an old village was 500 years ago, clearly you need a machine that differentiates good from bad, more so than somebody that's hunting tot lots or beaches where they run across iron targets infrequently. The other thing you want to consider is how often you use the machine. Are features really that important for your application? There is no one machine that does it all. That's why you've got $200 machines and you've got $2,200 machines. They all do what they're intended to do, which is find metal, but how it does it varies. Now, if you take a look at it, I know some people have said certain brands aren't worth buying. Let's take a look at a book here put out by Garrett from Garrett Electronics. If you skim through the book, it's amazing how many finds of high quality are in this book, and they were all found with Garrett metal detectors. Many of them under $500. So to say you have to have a $1,000 plus detector to find these type of targets, clearly this booklet from Garrett shows that that's not the case. Now let's go back even further. So here's a magazine from 1980, which is 42 years ago. So 42 years ago, this magazine came out, and if you look at some of the pictures of finds that are in this magazine, it would make you do a double take and say, wow, they're really using the top of the line, state of the art equipment. But this equipment that they have in here is 42 years old. Yet back then, they were still making quality finds. They took the time, they learned the machine, and they were able to put it to use in the field. So all I would do is I would urge people to look at these videos that are out there, especially the air tests. Make your decision based on putting your hands on one and seeing how it works in the field. Videos are great. In-ground videos are probably more telling than air test videos. And realize that if you're watching these simulated tests where you've got a nail or a piece of iron next to a coin, above, below, next to 3 inches, 2 inches, touching it, does that really represent the kind of hunting that you do? And if not, then realize that that's simply a test that applies to someone else's style of hunting or other application. See what works for you and what's best for you. There's a number of companies that are in business. They all produce quality products. So pick the one that works best for your style, your budget, and your application. And at the end of the day, you're going to be the one that's more happy than somebody that's struggling with a machine that's way more than they needed or offers features or functions that they didn't need as well. I hope this clarifies things. What I'd like to do is moving forward, I did put a few YouTube videos up, and I'm looking at trying to do this on a more regular basis to provide a how-to reference guide, both on equipment, tips, research, things like that. So it's not going to be a video channel that shows, here's what I found on the next dig, here's what I found on the next dig. It's going to be more of a resource that you can refer back to and say, hey, how do I locate a site? How do I distinguish between one machine or one coil versus another? That's the kind of information I'd like to share, and I'm going to try to piggyback and get some friends of mine that are seasoned hunters to provide their input as well. So I hope that you're able to join me as we continue this journey. Again, I think social media has got its value, but again, put it in perspective, because in this case, iron bias has really taken a life of its own. I've used a legend. I'm going to wrap up with a legend. I've used a legend in high iron, and I am able to hear good targets in close proximity to iron, particularly if you've got the ground discrimination level on. Okay, that's all I've got. And again, hope to see you in the future, and hopefully this video provided you some insight. Thank you.